Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another training session. And for today's topic, I would like to talk about telemarketing that works in 2024. As you know, I've been in the telemarketing business started in 1998. So that's really quite a long time ago. And I must say that having done this for 2 decades plus, it has really changed a lot. It has evolved. Buyers became smarter. Buyers became picky. Buyers, in short, knows our tricks. And you can just imagine in 2024 where all these prospects that were trying to sell something, they can now go online and go on YouTube and watch all these smart videos on how to close a sale or how to do cold calling and all the sales techniques. So for today's video, what got into me is to just reflect on how is telemarketing now in 2024. So with that said, I'd like to talk about reasons why people avoid telemarketers. So one of the reasons why I thought about this is because at the other end of the line, I'm also a person receiving a call from a telemarketer. We all are. And let's face it, people generally avoid telemarketer. In fact, I would also like to say face-to-face selling. People also avoid face-to-face selling. For instance, here in Singapore, when you're in the shopping mall, you'll see a place where there's like a little booth in the middle of the shopping mall, and they have people waiting for passers to basically give a sample of whatever cosmetic or makeup, whatever product, and they really try to get as many people to stop by and get the freebie and sit them down, talk about the product, and next thing you know, you're feeling obliged to spend $200 for a skin cream. So when you observe that scenario, people like myself, when I see that booth, I'm already walking on the other side of the mall. So anyone from Singapore here, please, you know what I'm talking about. We all go on the other side and pretend we're not seeing them when we avoid them because people really avoid salespeople as much as possible. So, having said that, I want to talk about the reasons why people avoid telemarketers. So, one of the reasons why people avoid telemarketers is because of the cutthroat approach. What is a cutthroat approach? Cutthroat approach is, I would say, if you have watched Wolf Street, which was a movie done a couple of years ago. It's a true story. It's about Wolf, and this guy is a hardcore uh, telemarketer running a big fraud-ish telemarketing business. And on this movie, it's a reflection of how brutal and cutthroat telemarketers could be. So one of the reasons why people avoid telemarketers is because of that. I think nowadays, if you're going to be cutthroat telemarketer where your approach is you're really there to get the sale, you're really there, nothing more, nothing less, no other intention but to get the sale. That is cutthroat approach. So if you are still that type of a telemarketer in 2024, I can guarantee you're going to fail because people now are a lot smarter, and at the same time cutthroat approach does not is not sustainable. It's not a sustainable method of selling. So that's one of the reasons why telemarketers are being avoided by people, because they have had experience of cutthroat telemarketing. And from that point, I think telemarketing also earned quite a bad reputation because of that. A lot of telemarketers ended up leaning on that style, where they're just there to make money. They're like sharks. They just want to get it done, and that's it. So don't fall into that pattern of telemarketing, because it's not sustainable. You can get one sale or one business, but that's the beginning and the end of it. So, another reason why I believe that people avoid telemarketers is because of arrogance. Um, I've personally experienced telemarketers just from the tone, just from their tone of speaking. There's already an arrogance tone behind it. And that's one of the reasons why people also don't like to speak to telemarketers, because not only that, they know that the reason why you're calling is because you are there to get a sale from me and nothing more, nothing less. But at the same time, if the telemarketer has a tone, an arrogant tone, they also feel like, okay, you're the one who needs something from me, and yet you sound arrogant, or you sound too confident or overconfident to me. So that's also another reason I believe why people avoid taking calls from telemarketers. Now, I just want to add as well, right, as an example of cutthroat approach. A cutthroat approach, as I think about it, is, when you call, when you're doing cold calling, and the person you talk to, or the person who pick up the call, and your sudden introduction is, Mr. Smith, I know this is not the right time for you, but it will only take 5 minutes for me to go through this invitation. Something like that. The fact that the introduction is, I know this is not a good time for you to speak to me, but this will only take 5 minutes of your time. That is a cutthroat telemarketing, in my opinion, because put yourself in the position of the receiver of that call. And you're in the middle, let's say you're a doctor, you're in the hospital, you're in the middle of a very stressful situation, or let's say you are a professor and you're in the middle of you putting together your lessons and all these things that you need to focus, you need to be in the zone of what you're doing. Everyone has a job to do when we all receive a call from telemarketers. So when you approach when you call someone, it's a cold call, you don't know each other, and then your introduction is, I know it's not the good time for you to speak, but this will only take 5 minutes of your time. I find that if I'm the person receiving the call, I find that very disrespectful of my time. I'm a doctor, I'm a professor, I'm in the middle of something. And since you know already that this is not a good time to talk, at the very least, you should ask for an appointment or a permission for me to give you my time so I can listen to what you want me to hear from you. And that's unfortunately a lot of telemarketers who are applying the cutthroat approach. I don't like that at all. I really don't. I find that it's very abrasive, and that's why people have really bad perception of telemarketers. Interestingly, I've never experienced that in Asia. Living in Asia, I've never experienced that cutthroat telemarketing. Our telemarketers calling me in that very forward, overly cutthroat approach. Generally, they would introduce themselves and ask for, permission to speak to you. And I feel that my ultimate goal for this channel, I just want to take this opportunity just to insert this. My ultimate goal of setting up this channel is not just to train telemarketers based on my experience, but also to train professional telemarketers. When you say professional telemarketers, you behave professionally, and your profession is a telemarketer. You're not one of those cutthroat, hardcore abrasive, just there to get your sale telemarketer. So just want to highlight that as well. So again, don't be a cutthroat telemarketer because people will avoid you, and that's really bad for your business. Next, another reason why people avoid telemarketers is when they are insincere. Being insincere, the client can hear that on the other line from the way you speak, and we are all, again, I'm also coming from a place of a prospect on the other line receiving a telemarketer's call. Insincere can be felt on the call, and it obviously something that you need to master. You need to master how to execute a sincere sales call, I suppose, than the opposite. So another reason why they don't want to speak to telemarketers is because of the insincerity, and they know again that you're just calling because you need the business. So a classic example of how you can demonstrate your sincerity to your client. Okay, here's one scenario that I could think of. So for example, your client say, okay, now is not the good time. The sincerity there, if you want to exude your sincerity as a telemarketer, what you should say there is, Mr. Lim, I do respect that. Today is not a good time for you. I would actually recommend two timings if that would work for you. Would 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock in the afternoon today work for you? Something like that. You recommend another timing, alternative timing, for him to feel that you respect his time and you sincerely would like to speak to him in his own terms. People buy because they like you. And if you are insincere and you're cutthroat and you're abrasive, they will not like you. They will not buy from you. It's a wasted opportunity. So as much as you think that you're a salesperson who is just 10 steps ahead of your client because you're one of the top telemarketer and you're a smart telemarketer and all these things, you're still losing the business because you're not likable. I can tell you this, let me just share with you. In my 2.5 decades as a telemarketer, as a coach for telemarketer, work with telemarketing offices from all over Asia, Australia, and I can tell you one common thing. All the top telemarketers I've worked with, I'm talking top, like the ones who produce double, triple, quadruple than the average consistently. None of them are cutthroat. None of them are aggressive. None of them are arrogant when speaking to the client. One thing they all have in common, they're modest, they're accommodating to the client's availability, the client's preference, they're friendly, they're professional, and they're very likable. Their clients like them. And when I talk about top telemarketers, I'm talking about those who's been doing this for decades, talking to the same clientele for decades. So when you hear advice on, oh, you should actually say things like, I know you don't have time right now, but I will just take 5 minutes of your time. Think again. Don't you think that's not likable? Don't you think that's a very abrasive, disrespectful telemarketing approach? Again, I can only speak from my experience. The top guys in Asia, telemarketing in Asia that I know of, that approach is the best approach. Friendly, accommodating to the client's preference, professional, no cutthroat approach whatsoever. And that's how you retain your client year after year after year. And they branch into so many different sales, so many different referral businesses. And that's how you become a sustainable telemarketer. You can run away with a sale or two if you're going to do cutthroat, but it will not be sustainable. I can guarantee you that. So I hope that's a very good tip for you guys to take note of. And then of course, last but not least, one of the major reasons as well why clients or why people avoid telemarketers is because they are being treated just like a number. They're treated as a number. Like, sales is a numbers game. You need to call 100 people and maybe 10 presentations out of that. And out of 10, you close 2 sales. That's a numbers game. Sales will always be a numbers game, whether it's face to face, telemarketing, door to door, corporate account, anything sales, anything involves sales, it is a numbers game. But when your client feels that you're treating her or him as a number, that's how they run away from you. So I hope that today's topic gives you a little bit of a different perspective on how telemarketing works in 2024. All this cutthroat approach does not work anymore. I can guarantee you that it doesn't work anymore because all the informations are out there. They know what we do. They know our tricks. So the way to be successful in sales, I just have one advice to you. Be a professional telemarketer, because when you apply that formula of being professional, respectful of their time, catering to what they need, being a consultant to them, giving recommendations on what should be good for them and what may not be good for them, treating them with respect, especially their time, you will be a successful telemarketer in 2024. So I hope this helps. Again, please, anyone here who has personal experience with why you hang up or why you don't like to speak to a telemarketer, please leave us some comment. Let's talk about this so that we all learn from this and we don't repeat the same mistake. These are just the points that I've mentioned to you are my personal experience and the reasons, the logical reasons at the same time. And I hope that this is also giving us a different perspective of how telemarketing is in 2024, particularly in Asia. So thanks for viewing today. I hope you learned something, and it will be my journey to continue bringing out a different light on telemarketing, a decent telemarketing, a professional telemarketing, a telemarketing that comes with respect and integrity. So I hope you guys learn from this. I'll see you guys on the next training session. Bye for now.